Good afternoon, everyone. As we have completed the yesterday session on the industrial relations and its introduction, today we will discuss about approaches and theories of industrial relations and changing profile of major stakeholders in India and what is their role. So let's see what all will come under that and try to find out what are the different approaches that are related to the industrial relations and also the major stakeholders in India. So, this is the one which talks about the approaches and theories of industrial relations. And when you look at here, industrial relations and its approaches, we have different approaches like unitary approach, pluralistic approach, Marxist or radical approach, theories of industrial relations, and Dunlop's system theory, pluralist theory of Flanders, and the structural contradictions theory of Hyman, and trusteeship theory of Mahatma Gandhi. So these are the different theories which will enlighten us on the industrial relations and how they have come into the picture that we will try to understand. So industrial relations has become the one of the most delicate and complex uh, problems of modern society, and industrial progress is impossible without labor management. Why? Because industrial relations exist always between the management and the labor, and this is possible without any of the one will not be considered as any industrial relations, and there is no approaches. Okay, so under that, how approaches to industrial relations means, actually industrial relation will indicate the specialized area of organizational management and study which is mainly concerned about the particular set of phenomena which is associated with regulating the human activity of employment. And but it is difficult to define the boundaries of this set of phenomena. So here, in two words, we can define, that is industrial uh, relations and employee relations are both are interchangeable, and in most practical sense, they have very different connotations. And traditionally, the term industrial relations reflects the original historical base of uh, unionized manual workers. So if we just look at this figure which talks about the approaches, you can just look at, because actually it has been divided into three popular approaches which talks about the industrial relations. They are unitary approach. You can just look at here, unitary approach, pluralistic approach, and Marxist or radical approach. And if you look at here, unitary approach, which in we call it as input, like which will creates a conflict, and pluralistic approach, which is a conversion where institutes or institutions or process takes place, and Marxist approach, it's a output, that is regulation. And these three put together, it's a system or a social action which will explain about the approaches that are available for the industrial relations. So let's see the first one, that is unitary approach. And this is based on the strong argument that there is only one source of authority. They says that there is only one source of authority, that is what, nothing but the management. And management is the one who controls, owns, and the dynamics of decision making, issues relating to negotiation and bargaining. Everything will be looked after by the only the management. And under unitary approach, industrial relations are grounded in mutual cooperation, individual treatment, teamwork, and shared goals. And workplace conflict is also seen as it can be seen where there is temporary aberration or resulting from poor management, from employees who do not mix well with the organizational culture. So there takes place the all the conflicts takes place, and in this scenario, the unions will cooperate with the management, and the management will have right to manage and is accepted, because there is no we they feeling, because they will never, under this approach, the management think that workers, that is labor, and they all are together. They will not differentiate between we and they. They all are treated under one only. Next, we have pluralistic approach. And under this approach, it's a coalition between competing interests between management and different groups. Different groups means trade unions as legitimate representative of employees, interest and stability in industrial relation as the product of concessions and compromises between management and workers takes place. So here, therefore, we will conclude that balance the power between management and employees. That is, and therefore, strong unions are desirable and are necessary under pluralistic approach. And the approaches on pluralistic are evolved based on the mid 60s and early 70s when England witnessed a resurgence of industrial conflicts. That was the first situation in early 60s and 70s where this has been taking place. And however, the recent theories on pluralism emanate from British scholars and in particular from Flanders and Fox. These are the two scholars who have been working on the pluralistic approach. And this approach totally departs from the unitary approach, totally different from the unitary approach. Because what does it says under the pluralistic approach that here under this, the organization is composed of individuals who will make different groups. And these all groups are having some set of aims, objectives, leadership styles, values and the propositions. And this approach means pluralistic approach always perceives that organization as a coalitions of competing interest where the role of the management is to mediate the different interest groups. Means here what is happening in the organization, the interest groups are nothing but the workers who work or the unions, associations, employees, in their in creditors, investors, whoever has invested in our organization, they all are the interest groups. So here the organization will try to make coalition between all these people and go ahead. And also trade unions as a legitimate representative of employee interest, because whenever an employee is having some problem or some uh, any any problem, in that case the associations or the trade unions only will take an initiation and they will look after the problems that are being faced by the employees. Next, we have Marxist or radical approach. This approach also regards both a conflict between the employers and employees, but Marxist conflicts has a product of the capitalistic society. So it's almost because pluralistic also this takes the same thing, but here they have the ideology of Marxism because they want to see the gap between haves and have-nots. That is a capitalistic society. And trade unions focus on improving the position of workers, but workers' participation in management or cooperative work culture, etc., are not acceptable to the Marxist. So, whatever the culture they are following, what are the workers' participation is there in the management is not at all accepting that point or that uh, perspective of the approach. And Marxist general theory of secular society argues that class conflict is the source of societal change. Without such conflict, the society would stagnate. So, what is happening? The groups or the class, whatever that is existing in the society, because of that only, if there is no conflict and with if there is no conflict, then the society would stagnate. It is the perception of Marxist theory. And also here they say that class conflicts arises mainly from the disparity in the distribution and access to economic power within the society, and the principal disparity between those who own capital and those who supply their labor. And social changes initiate strong reactions. And from the working class and bridge the gap bridge the gap between the economically settled owners of factors of production and economically dependent workers class. And according to Marxist theory approach, they view that pluralism is unreal, which is not in real, they think, and they consider industrial disputes and class conflicts as inevitable for the circular functioning of an industry. It's their perception. And you can just see the comparison between three approaches, that is unitary approach, pluralistic approach, and Marxist approach. And if you can just look at here, nature of difference, they have taken first one is assumption. If you look at the unitary approach is a capitalistic society, integrated group of people. And if you look at here, that is unitary approach, it's a capitalist society, and pluralistic approach is a post-capital society, and Marxist approach, it is capitalistic society. And it's an integrated group of people. And the pluralistic, like coalescence, means some section of people will be there. And here division between labor and capital is there. And if you look at here, even different values of interest and objectives. But whereas in the unitary approach, they have common values, they have common interest and common objectives. And Marxist approach, imbalance and inequalities in societies exist. Next, nature of conflict. And under unitary approach, a single authority and loyalty structure is irrational and frictional. And pluralistic approach, competitive authority and loyalty structures are there, and it's inevitable, rational and structural. When you look after the Marxist approach, inherent in economic and social systems, and resolution, how they are going to resolve the conflict. That is, under the unitary approach, coercion means by force they are going to do. And under pluralistic approach, it is compromise and agreement. Either the other party has to compromise, or you will be going by writing an agreement. And Marxist approach is nothing but the changing the society. And the last one, role of trade unions. So, what is the role of unions or associations in these approaches? So, if you look at the unitary approach, role of trade unions is that they give instructions from outside, and historical anchorism they will do, only accepted in economic relations, that will be forced. And pluralistic approach is legitimate, internal to work organization, and it's accepted in both economic and managerial relations. When you look after the Marxist approach, employee response to capitalism and expression and mobilization of class consciousness, and develop political awareness and activity. So that are the three approaches and theories of industrial relations. There are many systematic efforts that have been taken place by various groups like industrialists, sociologists, and interrelation theories to develop the theoretical view and also to analyze industrial relations and trade unionism. So if you can just look at here, the first theory is Dunlop's system theory. His name John Dunlop, who has developed a system approach to industrial relation, and this approach is quite helpful in studying the industrial relations in the sense that it focuses on participants in the process. That is, it may be because of environmental forces and the output. So further, it is studied as a relation among different different facets of industrial relation system. And you can just look at here the picture also, how the environmental force like market or budgetary restraints, technology, distribution of power in society. If this, with the help of union management and government, will give an output, that is rule of the workplace. What are the rules that has to be prevailed in any organization? Next, Dunlop system. So according to this theory, an industrial relation system at any point of time in its development is considered as comprised of certain factors that are contest, ideology, which binds the industrial relation system together, and a body of rules created to govern the actors at the workplace and work community. Industrial relations. If you can just look at here, the formula given to us, that is function of ATMPL, means A means actors, that is, it's not actors, it's factors, that is labor, employers, and government, and technological context, market context, and power context, ideological context that helps to bind them together. And under this, again, we have some basic elements of the Dunlop system model. That is, participants in the system are nothing but the workers of the organization, management, and the representative government agencies like labor codes, etc. And here, what is the ideology that is linking is nothing but the set of ideas and beliefs that are commonly held by the actors that helps to build or integrate the system together as an entity. And the context or environment, if you just look at here, it has three types of environment that are relevant to the industrial relations: or technological characteristics of the workshop, the market or economic constraints, and the locus and balance of power existing in a society. And technological characteristics, if you can even just look at here, when you talk about technological subsystem, our economic subsystem or political subsystem, we have technological characteristics, market or economic constraints, the locus and the balance of power. And there was even this theory is also having some criticism, that is, it's a non-dynamical model of industrial relations, which is difficult to explain industrial relations change, and also it concentrates on the structure of the system, ignoring the what actual process is. Next is pluralist theory of Flanders, and this is also known as Oxford model. According to Flanders, that is in 1970, conflict is inherent in industrial system, and however, we assume that collective bargaining is required. Collective bargaining is required as a formal system to settle the conflicts. And according to him, according to Flanders, he thinks that collective bargaining is central to the industrial relations systems. So the rules of the systems are viewed as being determined through the rule making process of collective bargaining. And this can be expressed with the following equation, that is R is equal to F of B or R is equal to F of C. And where R is nothing but the rules that are governing the industrial relations, and B is collective bargaining, and C is conflict resolved through collective bargaining. So this is about the pluralistic Flanders theory. Next, we have the structural contradictions theory of Hyman. That's Marxian analysis of industrial relations, and the trade unionism has several factors taken the several forms, broadly categorized into pessimistic and optimistic approach. So here, the pessimistic approach was supported by Lenin, Michael, and Trotsky, but while as the optimistic approach was supported by the Marx and Engels. So these two approaches represent two variants of the structural contradictions approach to industrial relations. And here, what's happening? The pessimistic approach highlight the limitation of trade and consciousness, and felt that unless working class joins hands with intellectuals, it's not possible, and it's not possible for bringing out a new social order. So this is about the structural contradictions theory of Hyman. And remaining theories will continue in the next class.